there a better way to go about getting undocumented immigrants who have committed felonies off the streets?
There is. You just actually follow the law. You get a criminal
America, we're watching the complete financial collapse of Chicago in real time. And it's a preview of what's about to happen to New York City. Brandon Johnson has driven Chicago into a $1.5 billion budget deficit while promising free everything to illegal immigrants and criminals. But here's what's really crazy about this whole situation. Zohran Mamdani just won New York City mayor's race with the exact same playbook. These aren't leaders, these are puppets with somebody else's hand up their butts, and the people pulling the strings are gonna make billions off of the destruction of America's greatest cities.
Zohran Mamdani, Islamic Caliphate, our brother in Islam, Islamic Caliphate of New York starts today, baby.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is the playbook. Create the problem, sell the solution, and cash out on both ends. Just like the pandemic, just like every other crisis, these grifters manufacture to get rich. Let me break down the absolute catastrophe that Brandon Johnson has created in Chicago. This man who has never run a business, never met payroll, never created a single job, has managed to drive one of America's greatest cities into a $1.5 billion budget deficit in less than 2 years.
At City Hall, the battle over Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget intensifies.
And today, a group of city council members accused the mayor of ignoring key recommendations from consultants they say cost taxpayers millions of dollars.
Last week, a majority of alders came out against Mayor Johnson's plan to revive the corporate head tax.
Chicago aldermen are so panicked about Johnson's financial mismanagement that they're calling emergency hearings. These are the same people who helped put this incompetent fool in the office. And now they're scrambling because the city is about to go bankrupt. But here's what really gets me about this. Johnson is out here on TV acting like everything is fine while his city burns around him. Listen to this clown trying to defend his policies.
Well, this budget is about protecting working people. For too long, our budgets have been balanced off the backs of working people. Garbage fees, property tax increases. I've made a commitment that we're going to challenge the ultra-rich in this city to pay their fair share in taxes. And why is that important? Because we're setting up a community safety fund that's going to ensure that our officers have mental health support services. It's going to fund our domestic violence programs because we have survivors that are still going through a great deal of trauma. We're going to hire, 30,000 plus young people, and we're going to invest in our CVI program, our community violence intervention workers that have been demonstrating that violence goes down significantly when CVI workers are in place. And so this is a part of the ongoing process. We'll continue to negotiate. But as I said before, the people of Chicago want the ultra-rich to pay their fair share in taxes.
This man is promising to be a quote-unquote welcoming city for illegal immigrants, while Chicago residents can't get basic city services because there's no money left. He's more concerned about protecting criminals than protecting the taxpayers who are funding this disaster. Now, let me tell you something that most people don't understand. Brandon Johnson and Zohran Mamdani weren't elected. They were selected. These are puppets who were chosen specifically because they're dumb enough to follow orders and create chaos that allows the real power brokers to get rich. Brandon Mohawk Johnson was a school teacher. That's it. He never ran a business, never created wealth, never had to balance a budget or meet a payroll expectation, but somehow he is qualified to run a city with a $17 billion budget. Give me a break.
Chicago City Council continues to pick apart Mayor Brandon Johnson's $16 billion budget plan.
Today it was top brass at CPD that had to answer for spending within the department that some say is too much.
And look what's happening with police overtime spending. It's completely out of control because Johnson's soft on crime policies have created so much chaos that cops are working around the clock because they're understaffed as well, just to keep the city from completely falling apart. Zohran Mamdani is even worse. This 34-year-old socialist has never had a real job in his entire life. He's been living off his mom's teat and taxpayer money as a career politician, and now he's promising to tax the rich and provide free public transit in New York City.
The message is about transforming the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that's affordable for each and every New Yorker. And what New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs gave us last night was a mandate to pursue the most ambitious affordability agenda the city has seen since the days of Fiorello LaGuardia.
Listen to this fool talk about the most ambitious affordable agenda since LaGuardia. You know what's going to happen? The same thing that happened in Chicago. Massive deficits, fleeing taxpayers, and a complete financial collapse.
On January 1st, I will be your mayor. New Year's Day and a new era for this city. Oh, and one more thing. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again. This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment. And it will be made possible by the people who built and believe in this movement. So I hope you'll make a donation at transition2025.com.
Here's what really breaks my heart about this whole situation. The people who are going to suffer the most from these policies are middle-class families who can't afford to escape. The liberal hive mind elected a guy named Zohran Mamdani who's never had a job, and working families are going to pay the price.
My MAGA parents, wherever they are probably having a horrible night tonight. Oh, I literally just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like they are in such a bad mood probably about the fact that Zohran just won and Prop 50 is gonna pass. Like, wow. God, I'm sorry. It just makes me feel good that my MAGA parents are probably upset right now.
When these cities start raising taxes to pay for all their quote unquote free programs, who do you think gets hit the hardest? It's not the rich. They can afford to move to Florida or Texas. It's not the poor. They're gonna get the free stuff. It's the middle class that gets absolutely destroyed in this situation. The wealthy people will just relocate their money and their businesses, but the middle class families, the teachers, the firefighters, the small business owners, the working parents, they are stuck. They just can't pick up and move because they have mortgages, kids in school, and family ties.
I think you can do that, and I think you have to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers who make more than $1 million a year, and you do that by raising taxes by them 2%. And then you also increase the corporate tax of New York State to match that of New Jersey. So that takes us from about 7.25 to about 11.5%, which is what we see in New Jersey. These things together raise about $9 billion.
Mamdani is promising to raise $9 billion in new taxes on the wealthy. But you know what's going to happen? The wealthy are just going to leave, just like they're leaving Chicago. Then who's going to pay for all these quote-unquote free programs? The middle-class families who voted for this lunatic because they thought tax the rich meant somebody else would pay. You guys in New York totally messed up here. This is the sick genius of electing somebody like Zohran, who's never had a real job. He doesn't understand when you drive away tax base, somebody else has to make up the difference. And that somebody else is always the middle class. This is the exact same playbook that they used during the pandemic. Create a crisis, destroy small businesses, then you have a government and big corporations swoop in to save everybody while making billions in the process. During C-19, they shut down small businesses while keeping big box stores open. They destroyed middle class while enriching pharmaceutical companies and tech giants. And now they're doing the same thing to entire cities.
And if we're going to ensure that we have safe communities, we have to invest in communities. And the people of Chicago have said repeatedly, the ultra rich in this city, in this country, have to put more skin in the game. We cannot balance our budgets off the backs of working people.
Johnson is more focused on protecting illegal immigrants than protecting Chicago taxpayers. He's spending money the city doesn't have on people who shouldn't even be here, while the city services collapse and crime skyrockets. Consulting firms, emergency management companies, and bankruptcy specialists are already circling Chicago like vultures. When the city goes under, they'll get million-dollar contracts to manage the crisis and restore services, the same crisis they helped create. And who's going to pay for all these contracts? The middle-class families who are trapped in these cities, while the wealthy flee and the poor get taken care of by government programs. In my opinion, what's happening in Chicago is a preview of what's about to happen in New York City under Zohran Mamdani. This man has never created a job, never run a business, never had to make tough financial decisions, but he's promising to spend billions on free programs while driving away taxpayers who fund the city.
But are you worried that could drive a lot of job creators out of New York?
So what I've heard from a number of business leaders is that the affordability crisis is also affecting their ability to attract and retain talent.
Listen to this fool dismissing concerns about driving away job creators. He thinks businesses will stay in New York City when he raises their taxes by 60%. This is the same delusional thinking that's destroying Chicago. Liberals in New York City, the liberal hive mind that elected Zohran doesn't understand basic economics.
Guys, can I ask you how you feel about Zohran winning?
I'm happy about it.
Why are you happy about it?
I don't know. I don't really know. I just do.
Really?
Yeah, because I keep seeing all the like cute TikToks of him like partying and clubbing, and honestly, he's like one for the people, you know?
That's why you support him?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. And there you have it, folks.
They think you can just keep raising taxes on the rich without consequences. But when the rich leave, guess who becomes the rich that needs to be taxed? The middle class.
You said that President Trump was watching you last night. It appears that he was watching you. And it also appears that he and other Republicans are trying to make you the poster boy of the Democratic Party. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, calls you a true extremist and a Marxist. And he says now every House Democrat incumbent and candidate will co-own Mamdani's disastrous record in the 2026 midterms.
Even Republicans are celebrating Mamdani's victory because they know he's going to be a disaster. Mike Johnson called him a true extremist and Marxist. And he's right. This man is going to destroy New York City the same way Mayor Mohawk Johnson is destroying Chicago. And the middle class families are going to bear the brunt of it. Here's what I want you guys to understand. The people who are going to get rich off of Chicago's collapse and New York's coming destruction are the same people who put these puppets in office. This is not accidental. It is a business plan.
According to the Civic Federation, in 2023, CPD budgeted $100 million for police overtime, but spent $282.8 million. And in 2024, another $100 million was set aside, but the department spent $238 million. Mayor Johnson's budget proposal increases the CPD budget to $2.1 billion. It includes salary increases required under union contracts and legal reforms.
Look at the police overtime crisis in Chicago. Cops are working massive amounts of overtime because Johnson's policies have created so much chaos. But who's getting those overtime contracts? Who's providing emergency services? The same companies that donated to these politicians' campaigns. When cities go bankrupt, the bondholders get paid first. Guess who the bondholders are? The same Wall Street firms and investment banks that fund these political campaigns. They created the crisis, then profit from the solution.
What's your favorite Zohran policy?
I have no idea. I'm not from New York
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Why do you support him if you're not from New York?
because I support innovative thinking and democracy.
Is it innovative, though? We've done it before. It failed every time. Laos, Vietnam, Cuba, China, Russia, Berlin twice, Italy.
I'm an optimist.
Mayor Mohawk Brandon Johnson created a gift room that only 2 residents have bothered to look at. This is how they hide corruption, create fake transparency measures that nobody uses while the real deals happen behind closed doors. And while the connected insiders get rich off of chaos, middle-class families watch their property values collapse, their taxes skyrocket, and their neighborhoods deteriorate. They are the ones that suffer the most while everybody else profits. Chicago is heading for bankruptcy and New York City will follow. This isn't a prediction. It is a guarantee. When you elect people who've never created wealth to manage million-dollar budgets, this is exactly what happens.
How about crime? Have you convinced Commissioner Tisch to stay on the police commissioner?
You know, I've made my decision to retain Commissioner Tisch, and I've done so because Eric Adams had stacked the upper echelons of the NYPD with incompetence and corruption. She came in, started to tackle that, deliver accountability, and reduce crime across the 5 boroughs. That is what we would build upon under a Mamdani administration, in addition to creating a Department of Community Safety to tackle the mental health and homelessness crisis head on.
You've made your decision. Has she made hers?
I am looking forward to continue to having conversations with her and to assembling a government of the best and the brightest.
Mamdani is talking about assembling a government of the best and the brightest, but he's never worked with anyone who actually built anything. His entire network is either career politicians and activists who never created a job or balanced a budget. The people who are going to make money off these collapses are already in position themselves. They're buying distressed debt, setting up emergency management companies, and preparing to swoop in when bankruptcy filings start. And the middle class, they'll be left holding the bag, paying higher taxes for worse services while watching their cities crumble around them. America, what's happening in Chicago and what's about to happen in New York City isn't incompetence. It is a coordinated plan to destroy these cities so connected insiders can profit from chaos. Brandon Johnson and Zohran Mamdani are puppets who were selected specifically because they're dumb enough to follow orders and create conditions for bankruptcy. They've never had real jobs, never created wealth, and never had to make tough financial decisions. The liberal hive mind that elected a guy named Zohran, who never had a job, doesn't understand that they just voted to destroy their own communities. The middle class is going to suffer the most because they can't afford to escape like the wealthy, but they make way too much money to qualify for these quote-unquote free programs. The same people who profited from the pandemic are now profiting from urban collapse. They created the chaos through their puppet politicians, then swoop in with quote-unquote solutions and make billions of dollars while ordinary people suffer. Chicago's $1.5 billion deficit is just the beginning. New York's financial collapse will even be worse because Mamdani is promising even more spending on even more free programs for people who don't contribute to the tax base. The middle class will flee, the tax base will shrink, the cities will go bankrupt, then the vultures will come in to pick the bones clean while claiming they're rebuilding these communities. This is the same playbook they've used for decades. Create the problem, sell the solution, and get rich on both ends. Don't let them fool you into thinking this is all about helping people. This is about power and profit, and American cities are the latest victim. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.